I appreciate everybody's time. What we're going to do to conclude is kind of recognize that many of the companies that we do business with are global in nature, as we've been discussing. So they have items either for maintenance or repair or products that can range anywhere from hundreds of thousands to millions of parts. So they may have 4 business units, 7 business units, 10 business units. They may be in 90 countries, or they may be in 10 countries. But in any way you look at it, it's very complex, and information could have been on 3 or 4 different to ERP systems. In some of our accounts, it's 15 to 20. So the idea is, how do we technically carry off a project of consolidating this huge amount of data and do it easily and effectively, and even with rollout? So that's what I'm going to talk to you about, because that's the vision of our company, is to help your company with huge amounts of data to be able to actually manage a project such as this, both for the historical cleansing and the ongoing data governance. We've been doing this work for about 12 years. We come out of a spend management and procurement environment, but with our group, since we've been dealing with master data that affects wide ranges of ERP and manufacturing and accounting and supply chain logistics touch points, we've separated out to become an independent company in the last 12 months and have been just receiving accolades by our customers and clients. We have tools that have just been developed over years of work with some of the largest companies in the world. And we break these up into 2 different areas. Harmonize is our tool set and services for taking historic legacy data and consolidating it into standards. So we're creating master data from disparate systems. Integrity is what we call our ongoing data governance tool, and it basically bolts onto your various ERP, enterprise asset, product management type solutions to help keep data clean, to provide a way for people all over the world in many potential different languages to be able to find their parts or to create a new part to the same standards that you did in consolidating. So we keep it clean, eliminate the ongoing need to consistently clean huge amounts of data every 3 years, that once you get done with the project, you're going to be done with it because you're going to have a tool set and a workflow and approval process that meets those standards that you've set to keep it clean ongoing. We deploy most of our accounts through a SaaS, software as a service. This has significant benefits to large companies, is that it's web-based. It allows you to access it anywhere in the world through a standard internet connection. And it allows us to provide you with all the security and servers and structures, so not to put a burden on your IT departments in bridging the gap between all your different systems. So it's a very quick execution because it's all in one, including all the security. So what we've done over the years is we've built these high-performance artificial intelligence tool sets called AutoClass, AutoSpec, AutoNorm, and AutoCrawl that allow us to do the work that normally thousands of people would be required to do. And unlike people that go into various projects and then move on to the next project, these tools remember the standards and the learning that it achieved during the process of data cleansing and allow you to embed it in the ongoing tools so that you take complete advantage of all the information and all the decisions that you make in setting up standards for data for the next batch. So therefore, as you continually grow and add new plant and equipment, you could achieve your results much quicker than even you can in the initial project, because it basically is what we call learn by example software. So it builds repeatable processes, which is what kind of the new buzzword is. I want a process that provides repeatable learning so that my people on the edge of the organization, truly global people from anywhere in the world can find a part and create a part to the same standards that I've done in my batch cleansing. And we do so by providing not only high-speed repeatable processes, but collaboration. So both our Harmonize and our Integrity process come with tools to provide collaboration in the process. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and that we bring also, as Kurt had mentioned, a lot of experience in all the industry standard classifications, our noun modifiers, and attribution templates, so you don't have to start your projects from scratch, but could use templates that are modifiable very easily. They're like Excel templates that can be quickly modified and uploaded into our system, so you don't have to start from scratch in doing huge amounts of data in products that may span thousands of different classifications. We've done this, as you could see, through many very large companies. We're working with one of the largest companies in the world, a $158 billion oil and gas company out of the Middle East, who has over 1.5 million SKUs and across both direct and indirect product parts. They're looking to use both our Harmonize and Integrity and our supplier information management from our sister company, and to put together a fully global master data solution that puts all their standardization from all their global regions into a single consolidated catalog and allows them to keep it clean as they add new parts of and equipment. Our tool set basically, as we mentioned, starts with Harmonize, which on the left is the historical data, and it moves into Integrity. But we have these common tool sets on the bottom that allow us to autoclass, which is to learn the classification that fits your organization. So we use UNSPSC, which is United Nations Standard Product and Service Catalog, as kind of a standard within our organization. But we also work with any classification. So the tool is seeing millions of items through E-Class and Standard Modifier Dictionary and customized. So UNSPSC enables you to have very accurate spend classification in order for your strategic sourcing, but very often in the manufacturing or in the ERP world, people want it different. So we could do multiple classifications at the same time. So let's say your company has different standards based on different divisions. Our tool can enable you to classify simultaneously into both patterns to enable consolidation, but at the same time have each group maintain their standards until full consolidation could be done. Once we know what an item is, and now through the noun modifier, such as ball bearing, AC motor again, we can intelligently extract your unstructured text in your descriptions and pull it out and put it into forcible attribution so it's structured. That's the key of standardization, is structuring your data from dissimilar unstructured text coming in from many different systems. So AutoSpec does that, and at the same time, AutoNorm immediately modifies your abbreviations, your units of measures, capitalization, and all your standards of the actual wording. So it'll take maybe a supplier you're using in 10 different countries with 7 different ways of writing it, and it'll standardize it to the one that your process group decides is the best one. And that's the type of services and things that Kurt helps you do. He helps you set up what the classification will be, what your specification sheets will be, while we automatically process this and do it at high speeds at hundreds of thousands per hour, allowing you then to quickly modify and change exceptions versus work on each individual line item. So that's really the key of these two tools, is that we do batches and then work on exceptions rather than having to go line item by line item through hundreds of thousands, if not millions of items through these standards. Then we have a tool that provides what we call non-source web crawling. So we maintain a dynamic library and content of items that we in the past have used and structured, but we could go out to the web based on a manufacturer name and part number and look at multiple sources to see if there are additional attributes we could bring in. So once we've cleansed your data, we then embed these same models, AutoClass, AutoSpec, and Order Norm, into an ongoing data governance tool. So as the enterprise is looking for a new part, they don't have to, they can basically search through quick attribution, the manufacturer name and part numbers. They could search through a combination of attributes, et cetera. So we have 7 different search engines into Integrity to make sure a duplicate is not created. And even when they go to create a new part, it will automatically search the database that we've developed in Harmonize that's loaded into Integrity of all your parts, and search to make sure that duplicates don't exist. If something is common, you could quickly clone it and make the modifications necessary to create a new part on the fly. So basically, the idea of our tools is to take huge amounts of data and automate the process by teaching the tool the standards that you want in your organization, and then allowing the tool to do it for you rather than individuals who, tens of thousands of people who you may have working on this globally, having to remember what your standards are. So it provides complete control. In the Harmonized situation, we basically use a very significant GUI interface, all with statistical graphics. At each step in the process, you'll find graphics that can immediately be turned into data. So you could look at raw data of what you've done in process, as well as look at graphical representations to get the big picture. Usually there's a person who manages each batch, and then assignments for who will do classification review, who will look at quality review on the actual descriptions, who will work with you in basically determining if something is truly a duplicate or is basically a different part because maybe its application is different. In the nuclear world, we find that a part could be exactly the same, but because of the certification required, a part could be completely considered different and have a very different sourcing cost just because of a certification. So our tool helps you understand that and present information to the right people at the right time at high speeds, so only look at the data that is representative of their domain technology. So what it does is, through this graphical interface, this little symbol here represents roles of individuals. So there'll be people who will be responsible for mechanical quality review, people for electrical quality review, et cetera. So you could have people who know, engineers who know your parts that you manufacture internally better than anyone. They could be part of the process. It will then structure the process and connect the workflows and have multiple processes. This process is different than this process is, but they come together at the post-processing stage. So by doing this, you could take the entire project, which might be millions, and break it down into meaningful sub-batches and drive the project of data cleansing using all those automated tools we have. And so you have the right people collaborating on a worldwide basis, looking at only the items that they find effective and only working with process data, so they only have to work with exceptions. On the right-hand side, it'll track the process for data cleansing. So it will tell them they're in the data classification stage, they're in the data sheet definition stage, the attribute stage, et cetera. In some cases, you may just be classifying data. In some cases, you may be going through workflows that are repetitive, so you could save your workflows and assign a completely provided workflow to your organization. Just quickly, because the data cleansing is such a big aspect of these projects, you will be looking at data coming in from many different environments with many different types of input, and then the system will do an excellent job of highlighting them and standardizing that noun modifier based on automated look of what is in the data. So if it can't get down to the commodity level, it will give you the lowest common denominator of classification that it can get to, so you get part of the work done and then can move from there to get additional attributes that would help you classify it. In the next example, the system gives you statistics of what you've classified. So it'll take the total count and break it down among your different types of classification, and showing that in this particular case example, 16% came down to the commodity level. So today we don't want to go through a great big of detail. We just want you to know that it provides you the statistics and the automated processing and batch with the right people reviewing at each step of the organization. Then what it does is once it knows what the now modifiers is, it's going to go back into the data and put them into the structure of your spec sheets. So the spec sheets are a listing of each attribute, whether it's short name, type, inside diameter, outside diameter, width, things that you're very probably familiar with, but you'll determine what order you want these, which ones are involved in your short descriptions, which one are your long. If you have a 40-character short description, you'll have to abbreviate and have only certain attributes that you can consider critical, and then you'll have other attributes you'll want for the PO and for additional search and duplicate determination. So what it'll do is go through the system now and pull out of the data based on the fact that it's a ball bearing, based on these are the attributes. It'll come in and automatically extract what it can from your source data and move it into the appropriate bucket. So we're taking unstructured data and moving it into structured text, and we're doing it at high speeds. If we do not have the attributes in the data, but in this example we have a part number and a manufacturing name, we could go to the web and bring in those same attributes as though you had them in your data, and that's what we call non-source attribution. So in our language, source attribution is the work we do with the data you provide from your systems, and non-source is when we go to other means, like we get a library card, we'll go out and look at content from other resources to see if we could fill in the blanks. So then we provide all sorts of quality reviews and automated processes to make it happen. The idea is to come out with robust source data. We could help also with many of you who manufacture parts do global HTS coding and ECN coding, because you need accurate attribution in order to do the coding. So our systems help you put those hundreds of thousands of items into accurate standardization to make it very quick and easy to do your HTS coding. On the ongoing side, we integrate with almost all your key systems and really have a very open architecture. So integrity now is where you put all that historical data to make sure you can find it and keep it clean and integrate it into your various systems. It also provides a very easy-to-use web-based application that can be used anywhere in the world strictly through internet connection. And it'll provide a wide range of search, including things like Google search. We call it a simple search, where you could put in just any kind of information, and it'll go out and find and highlight that information in your data. And then it'll allow you to decrease the volume of your acceptances by improving your search through filters. So as you know additional values, you can go from just a ball bearing to a ball bearing with a specific inside diameter, specific outside diameter, specific groove type, et cetera, to shorten your location. When we create items, we have a process that it drives you through that immediately provides at the edge of the organization a classification. So your people do not have to be experts in classification. They just write in what they're looking for into the system. It classifies it for them. If there are other opportunities that are close, it'll give them to them because maybe it's a very unique particular part, and in this particular situation, they know to classify it as a V-belt versus ball bearing. But in this case, it's giving 100% to ball bearing, and then it'll bring up the spec sheet. So the same spec sheets that you use in your data cleansing harmonize are embedded with the minimum criteria that you want to make sure the edge of the organization includes, and it'll give them drop-down values so they could choose from everything that you already had in your system for your new items, and allows them very quickly and easy to fill out the structured what they're looking for. If you notice, it took the description and broke it down into the various attributes and normalized the values automatically for the requester. And then it allows you, once you know that, to go in and fill all the information you would need for a product or material at the basic level, plan view, accounting level, et cetera. So it's basically a complete master data management system with parallel workflows that could be configured depending on the type of part it is and any criteria you want to make sure that the information gets in the system. Finally, what we do is we help you evaluate these tools for your organization by doing a proof of concept that helps develop a business case. So both Arthur and Kurt shared with you some of the operational factors that are involved in a program. But we understand that in order to get approval for this type of project and some of the tools we have, you want to see it working with your data and you want to know what the business case is for your company, and we work with you to help you develop that. So combining the assets and resources of Newbold Advisors and Verdantis, we can help you really understand how we can help you automate the historical claims. That'll be great.
Okay. Yes, I believe this first question is directed to Arthur Raggett. Arthur, what is the right mix of outside services and internal domain resources for a material data cleansing project?
Hey, that's a pretty good question, especially given that we're together today with Newbold. Let's separate sort of inside versus outside through two phases of the project. I think when we're in that pilot or proof of concept phase, that's a little bit more of an external services prove out, and it's also a great time to really get that change management business champion kind of view, right? We're trying to build out a business case, prove out the ROI, not just for, let's say, the tools that Verdantis offers, but for the change in business process. And that's where I think Kurt and Newbold Advisors come to play. As we look at, post-business case and we look at the actual implementation work, there we see a deeper separation and something that's probably a little bit more crisp or clear. For, let's say, maintenance, repair, and operational data versus a finished product or assembly, there is a schism or a difference between where the best or most time and cost-effective knowledge base may come to play. So for common MRO items in terms of data quality, it may make the most sense to sort of turnkey the services aspect of that from a quality assurance or a verification perspective to a company like Verdantis, where the finished product or assembly side of purchased product and or engineered parts, that's certainly a place where the domain knowledge exists either within the client or exists within a specialty shop like Newbold. Overall project management and guidance can come either from internal for those more mature organizations with a project management discipline as an extension of its IT team, or it can come from a firm like Newbold that brings decades of project management, change management for technology applied to business applications. So I realized that if people were looking for a black and white answer, it is very much, I'll say, domain dependent. I hope that answered the question.
Sure. Yes, that was a great reply. Art, another one for you. This is related to the time span of ROI realization. It reads, how quickly do companies realize their return on investments to substantiate a project? Is there a way to phase the project and costs across the life cycle of our ERP global rollout?
Very good question, and I think looking at my watch, it's probably the last question we'll have time for, so I'll accelerate my answer a bit. What we've seen for ROI implementation, for broad-scale data harmonization, sort of post-merger acquisition or system upgrade, ROI is legitimately 9 to 12 months after go-live. And that's for pretty substantial ROI, right? We're looking at anywhere from a 10-to-1 to a 22-to-1 payback, and that includes internal loaded costs. So for a typical client with revenue greater than $4 billion and sort of MRO or purchase product costs over $1 billion, it's not uncommon to see 15, 20, 30 million in savings within the first 12 months. If we're looking at how to phase something, let's say it's a transformation project rather than an implementation or post M&A, there it's prioritized generally on those high turn, high spend kind of broad categories, right? So you've got certain product lines that you're trying to affect that are high volume, high asset cost, and I would tend to tier the priority layers on those things that have high asset value, right? So let's say, oil field service or oil field related, you're looking for truckable, towable are the domains you want to sort of go after first because these are high value, right? I mean, unless you're talking offshore or top hole. So these are generally the segments I would shoot at for fast kill, high return. And these are projects that can be executed, start to finish in under 3 months, where the demonstrated ROI and then the balance can be tiered out. With that, I think I'll turn it back to Jay for closing.
Great. Well, we very much appreciate an opportunity to work with you. We will be back in contact with you to share the presentation we did today, and we'll see if there's any way we could work with you in evaluating of the companies and tools that we have. But we thank you very much for your patience today through some of the technology issues, and we hope that it was beneficial. I understand that there is a survey where you could give us some feedback that Abhinav has set up from our marketing group, and I think you'll be receiving a link for that to give us some needed feedback to improve the webinar for other candidates like yourself. Thank you very much for your time.